still questioning the legal of this job.
You may as well question the entire corporate world at that point. Just think of what we do here as standard business practices. This next assignment requires a bit more discretion for 2 reasons. First, you'll be dealing with high-level executives, and second, you'll be in the Astra Lounge here in Neon.
I suspect a great many things could occur in the Astra Lounge without anyone taking notice.
So I'll be in Benjamin Bayou's territory?
Exactly. And since you seem to be familiar with him, you probably know how much we don't like to upset him.
What's the significance of the Astro Lounge?
If you haven't already heard the name Benjamin Bayou, you'd better get familiar. The man runs Neon and has ties to anything significant here, including Ryujin. The trade tower is his baby, and the Astro Lounge is the heart and soul. You do anything to scar that and make a scene, I guarantee it'll come back to haunt us.
The Astro Lounge? Sounds exciting.
I thought that might spark interest. Our techs failed to uncover a potential deal between Infinity Ltd. And Quantum Synergies. Your job is to make sure that deal fails.
Infinity Ltd. And Quantum Synergies? What are these companies?
Infinity Ltd. Is one of our aspiring competitors. They have products in several similar fields, ships and neuroamps being the exception. Quantum Synergies specializes in ship operating software. We don't consider them a major competitor since their product line is so narrow. If the two are meeting to work out a contract, that tells us Infinity must be looking to get into the ship business. And we'd like to delay that, if we can.
Consider it done.
That's what we're hoping for. You'll be speaking with Quantum Synergy's Executive Director Zola Adisa and their Financial Manager Arthur Cruz. I'll be giving you a dossier on both. I strongly suggest you read them for talking points.
Can you give me a breakdown on Zola's and Arthur's dossiers?
I suppose I can give you a brief rundown. We'll start with Zola. Zola is a born and bred executive. It runs in the family, so she's highly accustomed to an upper-class lifestyle. She's a narcissist who's also obsessed with public perception, both of her and Quantum Synergies. She wants to be associated with the latest and greatest, so she's drawn to innovation and quality.
She's into innovation and quality. She should be working here.
She's considered it, but she's next in line to be CEO over at Quantum. If she came here, she'd have to deal with stiff competition. As for her talking points, the key things to remember are, Infinity is the cheap version of Ryujin. They're a follower, not a leader, and they lack any sense of clear vision.
Why does Infinity Ltd. Lack clear vision?
Infinity has struggled with leadership and turnover for a long time now. Lucas Drexler is probably the 5th CEO they've had in the past few years. Plus, it's hard to keep good employees when much better corporations who will pay more are out there.
If Infinity is a follower, do they have any original products of their own?
They've launched several, but none survive long. Nothing that would be as big as neuroamps or grav drives. That's why they've taken to just following whatever trends companies like Ryujin set. If they can't make money off ingenuity, they can certainly sell someone a cheaper version of a more expensive product they may want.
Alright, how's Infinity the cheap version of Ryujin?
Infinity Ltd's strategy to make money is to cut cost on quality. You can compare any one of our products to theirs and see it almost instantly. Low-grade synthetics, flimsy thin materials, high energy usage, they issue at least 1 or 2 recalls a year.
Alright, I think I've got all that.
Just remember, you can refer to the dossier at any time as a refresher. Now, on to Arthur Cruz. Arthur is a self-made man, and he prides himself on that. He's a full package, having both an extremely good knack for numbers and knowing how to talk to people. As Quantum Synergy's financial manager, he's all about driving profit with as little risk as possible. He makes decisions based on facts and heavily researched trends.
I'd love to get some of his thoughts on what constitutes acceptable risk.
It sounds like the two of you could really hit it off. Arthur's a great talker, but even the best can lose an audience when finance is the topic. Talking points for Arthur are aimed at steering him toward Ryujin over Infinity Ltd. Ryujin's profits are 25.7% higher than Infinity's, even with a superior quality product. Infinity's profits are fabricated. They're one audit away from ruin. We have a history of being financially secure that's never wavered, and we have the legal and marketing teams to handle anything that might threaten that.
Why are Arthur's talking points trying to steer him towards Ryujin?
Quantum Synergies is the top name in ship OS. Their reputation has allowed them to keep the best engineers on their payroll. We can't deny that working with them would be beneficial for us, and Arthur is our best bet in making that happen. Besides, an open collaboration gives us easier access to information we'd otherwise have to find a more clever means of discovering.
How do you know so much about Infinity's profits versus our own?
We keep an extremely close eye on our competition. Thanks to operatives like you, that information is almost always at our disposal.
Alright, I think I have everything I need to know.
Sounds like you're ready then. I'd still highly recommend reading the dossiers, though. Sometimes bullet-pointed statements can stick out in minds easier than conversation.
Read the dossiers so I'll say right things. Got it.
Exactly. Those lines are most likely to sway Zola and Arthur away from Infinity, not to mention give them a gentle nudge in our direction. The Infinity Ltd rep is Nina Hart. I'll also be giving you an altered version of her presentation to swap out with the original. We've changed several figures, just enough to cause sufficient confusion throughout their meeting.
How do I get access to swap Nina's presentation?
If it's not on her person, it will be in the suite she has reserved. Suites are patrolled, so she'll believe it's secure. If you can't manage to get her room key or deal with the door itself, try Boone Morgan, the manager. Boone appreciates credits, if you know what I mean.
How did you manage to get this presentation in the first place?
We got lucky on that one. Nina was making some last-minute changes to it at her own home and happened to save it to her personal data storage. Of course, we were able to access it, so we fabricated our own with new figures and put it on an Infinity Ltd slate. Assuming she's using an Infinity Ltd slate is a bit of a gamble, but one we're willing to take.
Swapping the presentation will make Infinity look incompetent.
Exactly. And that incompetence will be enough for them to further question this deal. Finally, I recommend dressing appropriately, so I've taken the liberty of having a suit made for you. We need absolute discretion on this one. I don't want any SSNN broadcasts about murder in the Astral Lounge. Got it?
But I need to dress appropriately.
Business executives aren't going to take advice from just anyone. Show up looking like an Ebside street rat or mercenary for hire, and you're lucky if they'll even acknowledge you.
But if I'm not really into suits?
If you think you can do better, you're welcome to it. I suppose I can even provide you with a small allowance. Just keep in mind, business attire is preferred, club attire would be second to help blend in.
Got it, I'm ready.
I bet you are. Just remember to keep a low profile. Don't let the Astral Lounge distract you too much.
Can we speak for a moment? I have been thinking about what we talked about before. The idea of purpose in one's life. You told me that fun was important. I assumed you were joking and dismissed it out of hand. But, having thought about it, I wonder now if you were right. Or at least if I were too quick to reject the idea. I have been single-minded in my pursuits. I have always believed the decisions I made were necessary, that there was no other option. I have sacrificed much to be where I am now. And
I'll be the judge of that.
I'm starting to wonder if it has been worth it.
It's perfect. Well done. This should be enough to get me back in the
You're
field.
the only
by
one who
next
can
week.
answer that.
I know. I have told you that I am not one to discuss my past. And yet,
Whatever you've done, I won't hold it against you.
No, that is not what I am trying to say. I promised to provide for my family. That meant working with smugglers to procure supplies we could not acquire any other way. I have spent my adult life away from my home, jumping from one planet to the next, living in dangerous conditions, often surrounded by violence.
Hard to believe your family would put you through that.
We were taught from a very young age that family always comes first, and no price is too great to pay to ensure its survival. I was convinced from the beginning that it was unwise to let anyone get too close. I had, maybe not quite friends, but people I cared about. Yet there was always a distance I could not reach across. I often find other people complicated and confusing. It seemed easier to not become attached, especially when circumstances meant I might never see them again, with no warning.
We're social creatures. Life is better when we're surrounded by others.
Until now, I have disagreed strongly with that idea. But therein lies my concern. What I am trying to say is that I now wonder whether it has been the right decision to distance myself from others.
I'm here for you if you need me.
I appreciate that more than you know.
Notes. Self-made man, charismatic, friendly, enjoys talking to people, stickler for facts and details, driven by credits and how it increases accounts, financial security is everything. Talking points, infinity profits are fabricated when audit would ruin them. Dossier. Says with public perception. Alright. Let's go.
I do not understand how anyone can tolerate the lights and the music for long.
Who's here then?
Welcome to the Astro Lounge.
We'll talk to this person first.
Someone came dressed to impress. Here on business, or just out to escape?
A little bit of both.
Ah, same here. Nothing like a business trip paid in full, especially when there's good downtime.
You must have business with Ryujin.
Ryujin Industries. A good guess since we are here in Neon, but no. Infinity Ltd.
A deal with the Infinity Ltd? That sounds risky.
Risky, you say. By all means, enlighten me.
Infinity Ltd is the cheap version of Ryujin Industries.
Cheap is a word quantum synergy should never be associated with. I believed our team had thoroughly researched Infinity, but your comment gives me pause.
Infinity lacks clear vision of its constant reorganization.
Their instability was cited as a pain point, but one we could deal with as long as we maintained control of all joint projects. However, upheaval always comes with its own series of issues, delays, morale, public perception, and Drexler has yet to prove he can provide the consistency that I would prefer. Perhaps it really is more than I'm willing to undertake. A surprising conversation, and one I would never expect from someone such as yourself. I suppose the old saying, never judge a book by its cover, is appropriate here. It seems I have quite a bit to reconsider now. So it looks like the pleasure aspect of my trip needs to be postponed. Thank you for the insight.
No problem. What's that? What is this, the light?
All these years, and Bayou hasn't let this place slip a single notch. The man knows how to run a business.
You look like quite the businessman yourself.
Well, I take that as a compliment. Coming from someone as well-dressed as yourself, you either got great taste or great connections. Maybe even both. Tell me, you don't happen to work for Infinity Ltd, do you?
No, and I'd hate for anyone to think so.
Got something against Infinity, I take it. I'd love to hear your reasons why.
Infinity profits are fabricated. One audit would ruin them.
That's an awfully big claim to make. You'd have to have some inside details on their operation. However, it does match some of my own research that I've been conducting into their finances.
To compare, Fusion profits are 25.7% higher than quality included.
Aren't you the resourceful one? That number tracks with the insider details I've been getting. Interesting. Look, it was nice meeting you, and I quite enjoyed our little talk. But it sounds like I need to take another look at some data before I head into this presentation of theirs. See you around, and maybe next time I'll be doing business with you.
Regina Hart's presentation. Okay, where's the heart? Door's locked.
I hope this is worth the effort.
Okay, let's head back.
I hope you have some good news for me. Well, that wasn't too bad, was it?
Piece of cake.
You're a natural. I'm not just saying that because I hired you. The Astro Lounge can be overwhelming for some, with all its bells and whistles. Tie that in with manipulating people who are the equivalent of their boss's boss, most junior-level ops would start to show their cracks. Overall, not bad for your first high-profile assignment. You even earned yourself a bonus, which Lyndon was more than happy to give.
It is good that our restraint is appreciated.
Thank you for the bonus.
It's well deserved. Just keep making me look good, and there'll be more where that came from. But no rest for the weary at Ryujin. We've got a decent backlog of assignments, and they just keep coming, so I hope you're still good to go. At least this next one will be a break from all the chatter.